Okay, I'm supposed to have this severe mental disease, right? And I'm saying I have nothing of the kind, okay? So, what am I saying? I'm saying because I was male raped the way I was repeatedly while I was growing up, I'm saying this left a mark on me. And the mark is what's causing me all my problems in my life. And it has nothing to do with anything I've done or anything I'm doing. This is a misinterpretation of me based on my having been severely abused without realizing it. Well, some of the abuse I was conscious of, but these rapes, I didn't even know they'd happened. Okay, so let's look at some of the facts here about me. If I have this severe disease, right? It's gonna make itself known not just when I'm trying to start out at doing something. It's gonna make itself known long term across things that I'm doing all the time. Okay? So no one will hire me, no one will friend me, no woman wants to have anything to do with me, and I can't publish a single word of my writing, and when I try to leave the United States to go to another country, my application, even though it fully qualifies, is denied to me. I try to move to Colorado and I meet with incredible harassment, bills all gone haywire, people follow me down the highways. My dog is poisoned, everything wrong that can go wrong goes wrong every single day. I'm not able to do that. So let's look at things I have been able to do and how they look in terms of me having or not having a severe mental disease, okay? Now, I'm not able to do all these things I say I want to do, and I am able to do other things long term. And I shouldn't be able to do these other things long term if I got this severe mental disease. I shouldn't be able to do them at all. Not just having trouble getting started doing them, but across the time I'm doing, I should stumble and fall and things mess up and I can't do whatever it is I'm trying to do. And yet that's not true. But that has to be true if I have one of these severe mental diseases. It simply has to be. And I got to say, I lived among the severely diseased, and I saw myself how over time, the folks that had these diseases did stumble and fall. No matter how things were going for them, even if things were set up perfectly for them, everything seemed to be working, they themselves crumbled and fell to pieces in the midst of all of that. Even when they were taking medicines and everything, as prescribed, they still, here's the word for it, flipped out anyway. Now, it's been over 40 years since I was, I'm going to say, unlawfully seized, imprisoned, and then stigmatized for life. Okay? Has anything like that ever happened again? No, it hasn't. Now, due to my fear of the people out there who have done this to me and continue to visit these false accusations on me, there's certain things I can't say yet about how I've handled this over the years. I can't even say it. Because I'm like a fugitive and I'm like a what's called an illegal alien when people are telling me, hey, you want to do this or that, come on in and put your name down and tell us about yourself. And it won't be a problem. We won't come chasing after you. to throw you out of the country once we find out who you are. Do they do that? No. They're not going to go up and put their name out there for you, and they don't trust that one bit, okay? And that's the way I am right now while I'm talking. So, let's just look at some of the things I've done and how I should not have been able to do these things long term, okay? Okay. One is I meet the woman I'm going to marry when I'm 40 years old, and now I've been married for over 30 years to this person, okay? And have police been repeatedly called to my house because of fights between me and my wife, or me doing crazy things to my wife or son? No. Nothing like that has happened. In fact, as a husband and as a father, my behavior has been exemplary. You can examine the record of what I've done over 30 years of my marriage, including sending our son to an expensive private school that required complex filling out of financial aid applications every single year he went there that even the so-called normal people needed help with. The normal people who were like upper middle class and upper class folks living in $1 million houses with 2 or 3 cars and country club memberships and everything else, they had trouble with these applications. Yeah, people with all that money, they still applied for financial aid as well. Okay, so police were often called to my house because of problems I'm having with my wife. No. Ask my wife what kind of husband I've been. Go ahead. Put her in one room and me in another. Question us like 2 criminals. Question her as long as you want, as intensively as you want. See if you find out from her anytime I've ever abused her. What you're going to hear is, this guy is incredible. He's treated me unbelievably well. He's one of the best persons I've ever met in this life. That's what she's going to tell you. And you're going to be thinking, like all these inquisitioners do, this can't be true. Okay? This can't be true about this guy. Okay? So, all right, there's that. Me and my wife, the relationship there. Now, I do finally get a job when I'm in my 40s. Okay? And I get this job, and I start out as the lowest paid, lowest status worker at this place of work where I get this job. And I worked there for a good long time. I don't want to say how many years, but enough years to earn retirement. That's a lot of years, okay? We're talking 40s to over 60 years, my age. Okay, I worked there that long, and am I in trouble the whole time I'm there, being called in front of the bosses because I'm not getting along with this person, that person? On the contrary, what is my boss always telling me where I work? I wish the other workers here were like you, AJ. You're not involved in any battles here at work, and you do your work, and I wish everybody here was like you. That's what I was hearing. And yet, I got a severe mental disease, and I worked there all this time. Now, I can't talk about certain aspects to being there and my relationship to what I call the mental prison system, but I'm calling that behavioral sciences thing, which has called me severely mentally diseased, I'm calling it the mental prison system. So use your common sense and figure out my relationship to those folks there and how much influence they had on me across the years. I was trying to keep as much space between them from the moment they entered my life in 1982 onward. And that is what this symbol here symbolizes. Okay, the man Papillon, who was accused of murdering somebody and sent to Devil's Island as a result. He said he never did murder anyone as accused. From the minute he was put on Devil's Island, he was trying to escape. Well, for the minute these folks came and arrested me the way they did, I was doing the same. And I'm doing the same even now, and I'm not going to stop doing the same. I want nothing to do with those folks at all. Okay? So, here's another thing. I should have run into problems at my place of work. Now, I was living with the mentally diseased, let's remember, for a good long time. I was in a halfway prison house for 2.5 years. So I saw the mental halfway prison house prisoners go off and start a job and then get fired, start another one, get fired, back and forth like that. That wasn't happening to me even there. I was able to stay consistently on jobs and not get fired, and that kind of thing happens. So where's the severe mental disease that I have? Okay, so what else have I done besides stay married in a relationship that you could say is a happily marriage relationship, stay on a job that I'm able to work productively and exemplarily, is there such a word, in an exemplary way. And what else have I done? Well, we've raised our son as well. Okay, and like I said, I sent him to this very expensive school that I could not afford to send him to without financial aid, and he did real well there. Now, I'm not claiming that I had any part of his doing well. He's the one who took the tests and played on the athletic fields and the rest of it. I didn't do any of that. He did that on his own. But was I called into the offices of mental prison workers for abusing my son, or did anything of the kind ever happen? Well, no, and ask our son what kind of father he thinks I've been. Ask him. Put him in a room, question him, and put me in another one, like you're questioning two criminals, and see what happens there. Question him as long as you want, as extensively as you want. You're not going to find that I abused him or that he was unhappy with me. You're not going to find that. So I got a severe mental disease. Now, go to the mental prison guards, I call them. I also call them inquisitioners. Go to them. By mental prison guards, I mean psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, and counselors of all kinds. To me, those are mental prison guards. I also call them inquisitioners. Okay? Go and ask any of them that I've ever had anything to do with how much influence they believe they had over my life and choices I made and things I did. You're not going to find, you might not even find any of them who know who I am. You're going to say my name to them, and they're going to say, well, tell me more about this. When was this? That's what you're going to find. But they didn't play any part in this at all, hardly, and I didn't want them to. And in fact, I say in many recordings like this one, I was never doing as advised by these folks because it was bad advice. Why was it bad advice? They were seeing me as if I was severely diseased when I knew I wasn't, so I didn't follow their advice. So one piece of advice they were giving me in a major life-changing time of my life was when I decided to enter the deaf community. They were telling me, do not go to Gallaudet University and continue studying sign language. You have no future in that, they're telling me. I said, well, no, I'm gonna go to Gallaudet. And I arranged that entire thing myself, which is something I should not have been able to do as well. Being a severely diseased person, the complex things I had to do to get into Gallaudet University. And then after being told that I had no future in that, I made straight A's in my first semester as a full-time undergraduate student at Gallaudet, taking classes with all deaf classmates and deaf teachers. Shouldn't have been able to do that, yet I did. So where's the severe disease? You're going to find the mental prison house guard or inquisition who's going to claim, oh, I worked with him and we did this together and it was such, I advised him and he followed my, this person doesn't exist. You're not even going to find anybody, maybe who even knew I was there among the mental prison guards. You won't even find any that didn't know I went there. Or what happened afterwards and so on. You're not going to find these people. So, where is the severe mental disease, okay? All right, so, on the other hand, what am I saying I'm having a problem with, okay? I'm having a problem with starting into anything I want to do. And why am I saying I'm having that problem? Because I'm being misperceived. And I'm being misperceived not because of behavioral problems that I have, but because of what I'm calling a mark on my person that is unconscious communications being broadcast from me about the rapes I endured while asleep while growing up. Rapes being done to me while I was asleep by my own father. Okay? So, this is what I'm saying is happening. I'm not. The folks out there in the mental prison system are saying I have some severe behavioral problems or chemical imbalance in my mind that's causing me behavioral problems and the inability to get along with others. This is absolutely not true, and it's proved by the facts. Get along fine with my wife, fine with our son. Get along fine where I work, with co-workers and the rest of them. Where do I not get along? When I'm trying to do anything that requires an application, an acceptance of me based on what people are seeing when they meet me. Every time that fails without like some kind of intervention. Okay? How do I get my job? I get my job by the intervention in the workplace of a handicapped job agency that gets me this job. No one would hire me at all, anywhere. No one ever did. Okay, how do I get to my wife? Well, I enter this university and I'm fluent in sign language. And I meet a person who's as desperate as I am, willing to overlook any problems I might have, and she accepts me. She's the only woman who's done that my entire life. Okay? So, I get by that initial bad impression I have out. I've worked my way into tutoring at Gallaudet University and so on and so forth so that I get past this initial impression problem that's stopping me everywhere I go. And the initial impression problem I have that keeps me from having a relationship with a woman because I can't start one out, and keep me from getting a job because people are looking at me and they don't want what they're seeing, and the rest of it, okay? So let me end by saying that as far as women go now, my first relationship with a woman was with a woman 27 years older than I was, who was a Nazi concentration camp survivor, okay? And how did I get by the initial problems I have in being misperceived? I worked like 1 foot from this woman's elbow for 2 years. And by the time those 2 years were up, And by the way, this was before I was declared to be suffering from one of these severe diseases. This was not that many years before. And I'm at this woman's elbow. No woman would have me. And I could not start a relationship with anyone. I couldn't even find a woman to start a relationship with. They weren't in my reality at all. And, well, after 2 years at this woman's elbow, what's she doing? She's interested in having a relationship with me. And what's she telling me? She said, you never had a girlfriend? I said, no. I was then around 24, 25 by the time the 2 years were up. I'd been working at her elbow for 2 years. Never had a girlfriend? No. She's saying to me, I don't believe this. How could this have happened? I don't know. So I get into the relationship with this woman. What's she telling me? I said, well, we're still talking about this kind of thing. And I said, well, I don't know why these women don't want anything to do with me, why I can't get into a relationship with one. And she says to me, they would love you if they knew you. So what is that saying? It's saying what I'm saying here. They can't get to know me because they can't get by this initial impression that I'm broadcasting from these rapes. And I'm saying that 100%, this mark I'm talking about is the reason why I was declared to be crazy, why I was unable to start a relationship with a woman, why no one would ever hire me, and so on. That's the reason. Not because I have any kind of a mental disease. Okay? So that's the best I can do this morning at trying to put this whole ugly history of mine across a lifetime that's been a disaster for me. This is my best effort at trying to make a coherent argument for this case I'm making that I never had one of these severe mental diseases. I do not have one. I'm not likely to have one. And the reason that I've had such a catastrophic life is the reason I just tried to sketch out here. That's all from me for now. Bye for now. I've said that because of this mark on me, what happens to me in every case when I'm trying to do something, I get what I call trashed and then honored. A literary model for a good trashing and honoring from the movie Serpico.
What's this for? For being an honest cop? Or for being stupid enough to get shot in the face? Give me shot.
Meaning accepted sometime after the trashing occurs. And I'm saying these trashings are very hurtful. It's not like you undergo some kind of initiatory experience. No, this is a very hurtful type of experience that makes you want to not have anything to do with whoever it was that put you through the trashing. You don't want to have anything to do anymore with the folks that do that to you. Just tell them. If it turns out that this woman, who I believed is interested in me as I've been interested in her. Why? Because I could see she was calling out to me in communications she was making that I believe were real. But if I find out that I'm being betrayed by this person, as I've been betrayed by every single person in my life, except for my wife, she's the only one who didn't do that. The only one. So, if that happens, what's going to happen is, I don't think I'll live much longer after that, because I'm not going to want to live. I'm just predicting that that'll happen. Now, I may live through that. I've lived through other repeated trashings throughout my life, but I'm an old man now, and there's not much reason to go on living, right? So this is taken away from me. I find out I've been betrayed. The person honors me. She says, "No, wait a minute. No, yes, I did do that. I kept you waiting for almost 4 years, let's say, and then I realized, wait a minute, no, this guy really is worth it. I like him." I'm going to say, why did you keep me waiting for 4 years? And I hear something like that. That's a trashing, and it hurts. I lost 4 years at the end of my life. I can't accept that. It hurts. No, it profoundly hurts, and I say it's unfair, and I don't want anything to do with somebody who does that to me, and I won't. And even if I say, oh, well, it's all right, it won't work. It is not all right, and it won't work. So there's that. And along with that, that's one of the reasons why, although I fully qualify, I'm not going to apply for Israeli citizenship. I fully qualify for it, but I realize that nothing I do works across a lifetime like that. And I fully qualified for Italian citizenship, and I got cheated out of it. So I'm not gonna even apply for Israeli citizenship, because if I get cheated out of that, I'm definitely wouldn't want to live at all. I say I don't want to live at all. I'm not going to kill myself, but there's plenty of data out there that says people can die of a broken heart, and if I got rejected by Israel the same way that everybody else rejects me, oh wait a minute, we changed our no, I would die of a broken heart, I'm sure. So I'm not going to apply. So here's my footnote. And me and my wife were out in Colorado trying to live out there. We were being mercilessly harassed, and I'm saying by the secret police of the United States, and the police, and God knows who else, and why. Let me just go on repeating, because I am the son, apparently, of somebody connected up with those folks. This man who was supposed to have been my father, who was not my biological father, I'm going to say, was probably an agent himself of one of these secret policing agencies. He had to have been. Okay? So, because he committed crimes with them, and because I'm a potential witness against him, and therefore against them, they've been trying to destroy me through a process I would call a time-lapse murder across my lifetime. They like to keep me like an invalid. If you've ever seen the movie Heidi with Shirley Temple, there's a little rich girl in there that is somewhat handicapped, and the rich father is hiring caretakers for this daughter who want to keep her handicapped. They don't want her to get well. So when little Shirley Temple, who's playing Heidi, gets in there, she starts teaching this little handicapped girl how to walk and so on, and get over her handicap. And this witch-like caretaker doesn't like that at all. And her not liking it becomes almost life-threatening for little Heidi. Okay, now, here's an example as close as I can find of what I would call a model for this kind of time-lapse murder, keep the person incapacitated, unsuccessful, and handicapped, if you will, even. Okay, and then dead if possible is best. The witness is gone and we're all safe. Well, that's the reason. As quick as I can sketch out the reason. Now, when we're out in Colorado, which we go out there to from this house, why? We're harassed out of this house by police and secret police. Okay, and we go out there and the harassment continues. And here's what I notice when we rent an apartment in Colorado Springs. In 2019, I believe, is when we started there. Every single time I come out of my apartment building, in a completely deserted parking lot. Why is it deserted? It's during working hours and everybody's at work. The parking lot is full of cars because the people who live there leave their cars there apparently and go off to work using public transportation, I would imagine. And the whole parking lot is empty. There's nobody to be seen anywhere. And yet every single time I come out of that building, the instant I'm coming out that door, here comes a car past me. I start to notice, as I say, this cannot be an accident. And that happens every single time I come out of that building. This is the beginning, I notice, of a, what the United States would call its an overwhelming response it makes to enemies. Okay, it's decided it wants to start showing me that it's going to be directing me where it wants me to be and where it doesn't want me to be, and it's there, right in my face. So this starts up, and that is still happening on a kind of limited basis even now, when we've been driven back here to this house. Unable to live in Colorado, unable to live in North Carolina, unable to move to Italy, and so on. We should have been able to do those things. We haven't. So I'm saying to those people, if you think you're going to be successful, even with your time-lapse murder, and you're happy that you got us back at this house, whatever your reasoning is, whatever it is, you are not going to succeed at what you want to do with me. Whatever it might be, you're not going to succeed at it. You drove us back here, okay. You probably didn't want us to get back here, very probably. You would have liked me to be dead, very probably. So you weren't successful at that. And we're back here, and you're still driving by my house when I come out the door and this kind of thing. Well, I'm here to tell you that whatever you want, you're not going to succeed. And in this battle with you, I'm going to win the battle because I'm doing right and you're doing wrong. It's as simple as that. And I don't want to hear any explanations. If I find out who you are, I'll put you in jail and worse. What you've been doing. So there's my message. Today is, I'm not sure of the date, but I can put this on pause. I think if I navigate away from this, I'll lose this recording. So now there's no way I can find out the date. Today is Monday, and let me think. It's August. I think it's the 23rd of August, Monday. And the time is 10, I guess 32 a.m.